super sport performance. MG Pilot Smart Speed Assist. 10.1-inch touchscreen. Custom ambient lighting. At $35,490 fully equipped and 7-year warranty. This is value you've never seen before. The all-new MG HS, the SUV you've never seen before.
This week, Gibbo goes one-on-one driven by MG by a fellow Tasmanian, which I'm super excited about. An Oz Junior basketball stud, as he's repping the Tassie hoodie right now. I love it. A former Adelaide Crow and now a Gold Coast Sun. Hugh Greenwood, thanks for joining me.
Gibbo, you missed Perth Wildcats too, mate, but appreciate it.
Well, I'll get to that later, but it was so brief, I didn't want to bring that up. Mate, I know you just finished your season with the Suns, and I'll talk a bit more about them later, but how's the hub life been? We've just been talking about isolation or whatever, but how's it been for a player being stuck in isolation in the hub playing football?
Yeah, it's been, thankfully, living on the Goldie, we haven't been probably exposed to the hub life as extreme as some of the Victorian clubs. Obviously, they've been here in hotels for quite a while, but it's been sort of normal living at home, but other than that, it hasn't been. I guess we've only been able to go to training, the supermarket and the chemist, and that's pretty much it. So we're allowed out and into the social world the last couple of days. It still feels like we're going to get in trouble, especially when there was 50 grand, 100 grand on the line to the soft cap the following year. But I guess it got to a point where the players were willing and able to do anything to keep the season alive, and that's what we've done. And there's worse places to be hubbed, I guess. Here in Queensland, I can't talk too much obviously for you guys in Victoria. It's a lot tougher for you guys down there, but our season's finished, and it's looking that we'll get the season done up here in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully things can return to normal. But for us, it hasn't been too bad. But for the guys in the hotel, it seems like it's getting pretty old pretty quick.
So, like you said, I'm assuming for the Melbourne teams that have legit had to leave home and been in hotels, it's been a lot harder. But I'm assuming for you, which is an AFL rule, I think that you can't do anything. Like, otherwise, if you're a Queenslander right now, you can go about and live your normal life, right? But because you play AFL, you're restricted to those rules. Yeah,
so that was hard. Like, Queensland, thankfully, has been pretty good since sort of COVID kicked off. There was only really a month or two when I think we weren't allowed to really sit down. You could go to the beach. You could still go places, but it was sort of tight, but not really. And that was only for a short period of time. So people have been going about their normal lives up here, and especially for partners, it was probably tough because they sort of had to follow the same guidelines as us. So they haven't been able to do as much, even though they're not training, they're not playing, they're not doing anything. So if they got sick or if they're almost guilty by association. So it was tough for them. But yeah, like we said, it's been not too bad up here, and a lot worse where you guys are, clearly.
I'll get to your season there and whatnot later, but I love that you're wearing your hoodie. Proud Tasmanian, always representing, and I'll get to the new Tassie team later as well. But, you know, how good was it growing up in Tassie? I'm assuming you played multiple sports, obviously AFL and basketball, two of the main ones, but to represent Tassie at Nationals, how fun was that playing with a lot of your mates, I'm assuming, that you grew up with, and just going out and playing for your state?
Yeah, mate. As you know, well, the best Tassie to ever do it. You are just so lucky being given opportunities, as you know, from a bottom age. Obviously, coming from these bigger states, you might not have got opportunities as an underage kid. So to go to under 16 nationals with Donna, of course, one of your coaches all time, it just gave us more opportunities to play at that level and more exposure. And it's just fun, man. You know what Tassie's like, just going in as underdogs every game and having a real crack at it. And continuing to have those relationships with guys that I played with under 14s, 16s, 18s, 20s. A lot of them actually went on to play footy themselves. But yeah, it's just anyone that's from Tassie, it's a proud thing, and you build these bonds with these people for a long time. So, and obviously when you go back to Tassie, you still know everyone in the basketball communities, you still got those networks and those connections. So I'm looking forward to seeing what an NBL club can do, because I think it'll really build and bring the entire state community together. Obviously, there's the rivalries between the north and the south and the northwest. Northwest not so much, more north-south. But it'll be fun to be able to bring them all together, and I think this club will certainly do that by the sounds of things.
No question. From Tassie, state teams or whatever, that obviously led to the AIS. Now, were you there for 4 years?
Yep. Did the 4 years. Yep. With your housemate.
Typically athletes are there for 2, sometimes 3. Like, well, you know, why did you go at a younger age? You just want to stay a little bit longer. Talk me through why you wanted to stay or why you were there for 4 years.
I guess it was two reasons. Obviously, with the pros and cons. Obviously, with the pros with Tassie basketball, you get more opportunities at an earlier age, but at the same time, the competition isn't as strong as there are in other states. So at an earlier age, to be able to get out and test myself, and I guess the AIS saw that too, bring us together with some older guys. I was 2 years younger than the next youngest guy when I arrived, so I was there with sort of Delhi, Rowdy, Brock Modem, Cam Besto, sort of that age, Mitch Young, those guys. So that was the reason to sort of get me out of Tassie and up against some of the best in the country. And at the same time, I was obviously playing footy, and they were pretty keen to get me on an AIS scholarship to go play footy. So basketball thought that offer at first, and I'd take it, and sure enough, I did, and haven't looked back since.
I know for me, going from Tassie, like you said, the competition, I mean, I was obviously a lot older than you, but the competition obviously wasn't quite at the standard, really not even close to the standard when you get to the AIS. I remember getting there, and it was a massive eye-opener. Like, training for one day, I was gassed. I couldn't get through a session. Like, it was just a new world. Like, I'm assuming it was similar for you. Like, just going overseas, like, not overseas, interstate and playing against the best in the country. Like, it was just a real eye-opener for me. I'm assuming it's a lot better in Tassie now, like the processes and how they train. But I know for me as a junior, like, going there for the first time was a massive deal.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to follow a similar pathway to you guys, you and Sam and Maddie as well. So you go from this big fish in a little pond, and then it's a real eye-opener when you get to the institute and these guys are playing at a really high level. So I was certainly in over my head for a little while. But obviously another Tasmanian, Marty Clark took me under his wing and helped me a lot during that time. And Rushy was there as well for a little while. So it was funny, those Tasmanian connections at that level, which was cool. So they really helped me out. I had Dwayne Radcliffe, who was another Tasmanian who was there when I was there too. So these guys just sort of took me under their wing. I was just a little young'un at the time. But as you said, it's just like you just go from being the big dog on campus to a real sort of eye-opener and reality check for quite a while. So, but it was fun and ended up fast-tracking my development. And got to go to a couple of junior world champs and play for the Boomers as well eventually before making the switch to footy. But I think leaving at an earlier age certainly helped my development. But as you mentioned, Tassie basketball's taken off. There's guys in college systems all over America and playing in the NBL and playing overseas. So it's pretty cool to see a small place, but players producing at high levels across the world.
It must be pretty special now looking back. I think your mum went to the AIS as well. I seen a picture of her, and I see on your Instagram of like a picture of her in a little team photo shoot. Like to go to the AIS and follow, I guess, in your mum's footsteps a little bit as well. That must have been pretty special.
Yeah, I think it was at the time we were the first and second generation athletes to go through the AIS. She was there the first year that it opened, and then 20 odd year or 15 years later, I guess, I came along and played. So it was cool. It was a lot different back then. They used to live in like dorm rooms on campus. I think she only lasted a year. She got out of school and was working at the supermarket. So times have changed. I think they used to train at the old gymnastics hall. There wasn't the basketball centre. Pat Hunt was still there. That's some things that never changed. Big Pat was still running around. He was the head coach. So it was really cool. And yeah, it's special that we're able to share that sort of thing together.
It's obviously been, well documented. I think Nerily Meadows has done an unbelievable story with you and your family and around your mum, who obviously tragically passed away with breast cancer. You've obviously done a lot of work around awareness for that and ambassador. How much obviously your mum meant the world to you and whatever, but it must be pretty special to know that like what you've been able to achieve and raise awareness and all the pink days. I think you had a pink boots day or whatever in Adelaide and stuff to be able to raise awareness for your mum and I guess honour her legacy a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. The hair's actually getting long again. I don't think it was this long before I shaved it the last time around. But it's sort of kicked off in the States. Actually, Mum got sick when I was 2 years into the institute, and I was pretty much close to, actually might have been 4 years into the institute, and I was close to making the call about going overseas to go to America. But she was like, you got to go. Like, it's been your dream for a long time. So where I can, I've been able to raise awareness because, as you know, it's not just her. It's such a common illness and with no cure and not still resources, but still I reckon we can do better. So just being able to have that conversation, reach out to people who've been through similar experiences, and Mum obviously did a lot on her end as well. So trying to promote her work when she was here. So I owe a lot to her from a basketball perspective and a life perspective. She was my coach in under 10, so she taught me all all the stuff before she handed me on to Donna Mitchell and then on to the AIS. So, yeah, it's something that I'll continue to do with the boots and stuff. We obviously didn't get an opportunity to do the round this year with all the COVID stuff, but hoping next year that we can do a little bit more. And because as we know that the breast cancer fight is ongoing, and we'll continue to do all we can to raise awareness for it.
I thought it was cool. Obviously, that story you did with Nerily, it wasn't about making it a sob story and you said this yourself. It was more about inspiring and empowering people to try and help and raise that awareness.
Yeah, that's how she lived her life. She there was certainly no one would have blamed her for curling up in a ball and crying, poor me, but she knew with the time that she wanted to try and make a difference. So she had her own fundraiser, the Seconds Count, and that still goes in Tassie, the Seconds Count Gala Ball. So obviously once she got breast cancer, she was in remission for a couple of years, and then it came back. So it became secondary breast cancer, which is incurable. So she found that there was resources when you initially got breast cancer, but when it came back, there's sort of the hope and the resources sort of dropped away, sort of, I guess, in the back of people's mind, knowing that it's incurable and there was, nothing was going to save her. So, she didn't stop her from getting out there and living the dream, following us all around the world. And she had the bucket list, obviously, that she tried to tick as many things off as she could. So I think the way that she lived her life is infectious to anyone that knew her, and that's how I try and operate. And that's what I tried to get that message in that interview is, yeah, it's a sad story, but she was able to accomplish a lot, and hopefully it'll inspire other people going through a similar experience.
That's awesome. It's unreal. Speaking of accomplishing a lot, mate, you as a junior in the Aussie team, you've represented a few teams. I live with Mitch Creek. He's tells me about the Albert.
He's not there, is he? Is he there? He should be, shouldn't he? Or is he getting his hour exercise?
He's getting his 2 hours in.
Yeah,
he's out of jail for a couple of hours. But he went to Albert twice. I went to Albert twice. Unbelievable tournament. But talk to me about beating Germany in Germany. I think he said it was in like an army barracks or something. Like, what was that experience like? Maybe it's not. Maybe you juiced out that story, but beating Germany in Germany.
No, it was wild. It's probably the best. I reckon that's probably the best win that I've probably ever been a part of. I reckon. Like the fun. Like we beat the US. So yeah, we were in Germany. It was a US army base, and they held the competition. So they basically was the unofficial Worlds, as you know. Like it was sort of the unofficial World Championships before the World Championship. So we beat the US. In the semi, and then that took us to playing Germany in the final, and we ended up smoking them, and mate, it was wild, and yeah, it was good. Creaky was MVP. A couple of us were in the All-Star 5. Like it was legit. Crowd was pumping. Like it was probably the best tournament, best win I've been a part of, and the best night afterwards too, I reckon.
That might be why he brought it up, because he was MVP. He didn't tell me that. He told me you're in the All-Star 5. He said you had a big dunk against USA, I think, in the game before. But he didn't tell me he was the MVP, so that's maybe why
he knew that it'd end up rolling back towards that. He knew that if set the
you're
line,
also you're also a part of the Uni Games team. Like how much fun was that? Obviously you guys didn't win or anything, but just being a part of the Uni Games team.
Yeah, that was sick. That was the last time that I laced him up for basketball. Pretty much from there, I ended up going back to Australia, getting to Perth for a little bit, and then heading to footy. But that was cool. Like that experience was like a mini Olympics. Obviously, never got the opportunity to head to the Olympics. But that was sort of a miniature one, I suppose, on a miniature scale. So we had the village and the dining hall and all the different sports and all the different countries. So that was a pretty cool experience. Again with the Creek Dog as well. So and a lot of guys ended up going off and playing NBL, and it was sort of a stepping stone towards the Boomers. I know the group before that had like Bairstow and Rowdy and Brock that really sort of put their name on the map from a national team perspective, and then slingshot onto the Boomers squad. So it was a really cool experience and pretty good way to finish, I suppose. It was a fun tournament.
Now you went to New Mexico. How much fun was going to college? Obviously, you've gone from Tassie to the AIS. Big step for young kids coming out of Tassie that probably haven't seen too much of the world, and then going from there to college. Like, how much fun has been at Lobo?
Yeah, college was fun. Probably too much fun at times. Yeah, it was great. Like I've got lifelong friends. I've met Kirsten there, and now I've got a little one, and got friendships, relationships all across the country there. But no, it was epic. We had our team was good too. We're top 25 for 3 out of 4 years. We played in Vegas 3 times a year in front of our arena, the pit, held 15, 16 aside every night. So Luke Longley was the first Aussie to go there and sort of put it on the map. And then Ryan Kirsten was there for a little while. And then obviously Bairstow was there and ended up playing in the pros. So the Aussies that have gone there have had a lot of fun and had a lot of success. So it was the best 4 years of my life. It was pretty epic.
I've been told by a past teammate of both of ours that you had a nickname of Lost Boy at the AIS. And you and Bairstow are kind of on your own wavelength. Now, I've played with Bear with the Brisbane Bullets and whatever, and with the Aussie team, and just on his own time zone. Like, he'll be at dinner when he wants to be at dinner. He'll take his own time. He'll do right. I understand you're in this similar kind of category, and maybe that's why you're great teammates in New Mexico.
I can't be grouped into the same sentence as the bad man. I can't. He's like on a way different planet. So the Lost Boy, was it Youngie or Delhi? Who was it? Was it Youngie?
No, it was Kadee.
It was Kadee. Oh, Kadee, of course. Don't even get me started on Kadee. Well, when I first got to the AIS, like, I was so young, like, I had the attention span of a goldfish. So it's just like we'd be having a team meeting and like Marty be talking, I'd just be like just off, like in my own planet, and then Marty be like, "What do you reckon of this?" And I'd just be like, wasn't listening. So that's where the Lost Boy. That's where the Lost Boy. For Cam, anyone that knows Cam's Cam, and it works. It works for him. So even at college, the same thing. Just like, he's the weirdest cat, but turned around and played in the NBA. So we got along really well, Cam and I. He was sort of the odd one out for a while at the AIS. So we sort of got together, I guess, and he ended up playing in the NBA, which is pretty cool. But Kadee, Kadee, he came down to the Goldie the other week and slept in instead of having coffee with me. So there's a whack on him.
That sums up Kadee.
I don't know what he did the night before, but he slept in and didn't bother catching up for coffee. So there's a knock on Kadee.
Very disappointing. I agree. He is the most unique person. He doesn't seem all that outspoken, but when you actually sit with him and talk with him, like, he's one of the smartest guys I reckon I've ever met. Like, he knows something about everything. Like, super smart. Awesome. He's back in the NBL. Talk to me about. So I read. I can't think who the coach was. I think it was an NBA coach, but the ramp to the pit and the Coliseum at New Mexico. Apparently, it's like.
Was it Steve Kerr, wasn't it?
I might have been Steve Kerr.
Yeah, I think he played a game in there. It was sometime this year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That he mentioned that. Yeah, so the pit's like 30 feet underground. I'll go American, 30 feet underground. So basically you walk in at ground level and then it just shoots down. So the noise just gets trapped in there, and there's been times where like the backboard's shaking because of the noise, and it's like, I guess the decibels or whatever it records, it's like sitting next to a whatever jumbo plane on a tarmac, like it's equivalent to that. So it used to rock, it used to pump. So it's the team hasn't been as strong the last couple of years, but they're supposedly turning around, or they are turning it around. So it should be starting to rock again. But if you ever get a chance to head to the pit, it's a place to go.
And your sister also went to New Mexico. Was that planned? How did that all kind of work out to have her kind of go to New Mexico as well? That must have been pretty cool to have, both you at the one college.
Yeah, it was. We were moving away from home when I was 15 to go to the AIS. She was only 13. We were sort of that age where we clashed. So we were away from one another for a while. Then when Mum got sick, we got closer. So then when they came over to visit when I was in the States, the women's coach had scholarships available, and they offered one to her. So she was pretty handy in her own right, represented Tassie, obviously, at a decent level. Never went to any Oz camps, but was in part of the TIS. And, went over there 4 years. Played some good basketball, got her degree. She came home a year early when Mum started to sort of go downhill. But it was pretty cool to share that experience with her. And I've certainly made the parents a bit more, they were more comfortable having the two of us in the one place, but they got pretty homesick. They were pretty lonely at times back in Tassie without us, but they knew we were having fun.
And you said you met your wife. You've now had a little boy, Titus, but it's amazing what college will do. You go over there, you play ball, have a lot of fun, but then you meet, your future wife and have a kid. Like, that must have been pretty cool. And now to have her back here in Australia, how's she loving Australia and missing home, I'm assuming, as well?
Yeah. She got me back in line when I finished college. So we've been here. We were in Perth for only a little while, and I told her I was going to go play Aussie rules, and she was like, "What's Aussie rules?" So she followed me to Australia, and then she followed me to Adelaide to play footy. So obviously owe a lot to her, and now we got little Titus too. So yeah, I was very fortunate to have a lot of fun, and and meet Kirsten along the way. And now we're enjoying life on the Gold Coast. Like there's not probably better places to be, but a lot's going on in the States. As you know, it's probably not a great place to be at the moment. So normally we'd be heading back in the off season to hang out over there, but she's in a world of hurt, the US at the moment. So I wouldn't be letting her or Titus go back there anytime soon, which sucks. But hopefully in a couple of years things sort of go back to normal. But she's pretty content here on the Gold Coast for the time being.
Now, this is what I've been waiting for. This is what everyone wants to hear about. You finished college. You signed with the Perth Wildcats, one of the most successful clubs probably in the world, the streak of finals, whatever. You signed there and kind of what happened from there? Like, obviously, football came around, but, talk me through the decision to leave, I guess, basketball, which you've been playing for the last however many years, and to go to football and leave the Wildcats.
Yeah, it was, I mean, the reason I picked the Wildcats was for the reasons that you mentioned, the success that they have, the group that they had. They're obviously a group that have been together for a long time, and they'd done a lot of Boomer stuff with those guys. Perth Arena was the real deal. And obviously we had some friends and family in Perth. So it ticked all the boxes, and relationship with Nelly as well. Maddie Nielsen was a big driver for me to go there. So after a month, so I basically played the uni games, and then I think qualifiers were that year, and Olympics would have been the following year, I reckon. So there was a couple of injuries. I think who got hurt? Dante might have done his knee that year, and then Damo might have done his calf. So there was a bit of a hole at the guard spot, but never got an invite to the camp. And I probably knew deep down that I probably wasn't good. I wasn't probably going to make the squad make the team next year, but I thought at least I deserved a chance to at least go to the camp, because I sort of built up with the Boomers for many years. But that didn't work itself out, and back in the mind, not knowing that I probably wasn't going to make the Olympic team the following year. And once I moved back to Australia, the AFL club started knocking on the door. Once they saw that I didn't make the Boomers, they were like, well, do you want to come play footy? And I thought, why not? Hopefully I can return to basketball if footy doesn't work out. But thankfully I haven't had to quite do that just yet. Footy's been pretty good to me. So I guess, it was a combination of things, knowing that I probably wasn't progressing or improving in basketball, and those sort of dreams and goals were getting further and further. Obviously, you can get picked up in the NBA. Probably wasn't going to make the Olympics, and those were the two things that were written on the whiteboard from the moment I picked up a basketball. So the next goal, I guess, was to play at the highest level somewhere else, and at this time it was footy, and so that was my new goal. And thankfully enough, I've been able to play whatever amount of games at the highest level here at AFL. So I'm pretty blessed to be in the situation that I'm in.
No question. I mean, that must have been hard to give up basketball, something you've loved, and obviously you had dreams and whatever. But at the time, I'm assuming it was a pretty tough decision and something kind of hard to deal with at that time. Yeah,
just probably more in the timing. We joke about it now, but it wasn't funny at the time. Only being there a month or whatever it was. It's pretty. And the way I handled it, I was pretty young coming out of college. Everything handed to me on a platter, pretty spoiled. So hopefully I feel like I've grown up a lot since then. And there's obviously relationships I'm still trying to patch up. But yeah, just the timing and the way I handled it, and the aftermath of it, of course, was probably what disappoints me the most. Thankfully, they ended up going off to win 2 in a row or 3 in a row, whatever it was. So it wasn't the end of the world for them, but just the way I handled it, I didn't like. But thankfully enough, in the end they were actually quite understanding. Thankfully they didn't make it too. They obviously were disappointed and expressed the disappointment, but they were not going to hold me back or make me stay around when I didn't want to be there. So, and the guys have been good. When I go to Perth, they're always, itching to catch up, or they've followed me along my footy journey. So it's a credit to them. And obviously they're a club that know what they're doing. So the way I handled it still gives me chills.
Yeah, like you said, a young kid, but at the end of the day, you got to do what's right for yourself, right? So you go to the Crows. I'm assuming Hamish Ogilvie was one that probably got you to the Crows. He was my footy coach back in Tassie.
I was going to say, he probably even tried to get you along, or what?
He tried me early days, and he had me on the state footy team back in under-16s in Tassie, whatever. And I was super close to going to football, but it just so happened that Marty offered the scholarship to the AIS, because that was decision time, basketball or football, and basketball came knocking. So if Marty hadn't have offered that, I would have tried my hand at football. But exactly. Haggis is a man for all that, and he's done, I'm assuming, wonderful things in Tassie. But talk me through your first pre-season going from basketball, which you'd probably run 3 Ks in the game, maybe 4, to AFL preseason and adjusting to that lifestyle?
Yeah, I've told this story before, but I'd just come straight from Perth. I'd won the yo-yo, like feeling like I'd just done all the NBA prep. Like I'd lived in Vegas for 3 months doing 2-a-days, 3 days. I'd gone to uni games, and then I'd gone to Perth's preseason. So I was like peak fitness, and then I've gone along to Adelaide and rocked up to the 2K, which is the fitness test, and I've come like dead last, like by a mile, like dead last by a mile, and I was still working on it, but like it was just like a shock. I was like, this is just a complete different beast. And pre-seasons we're doing like 13, 14K sessions. Like it was just the distance and the ground that you've got to cover. I was playing as a forward, so I wasn't even playing midfield at the time, so I wasn't even having to do as much running as the mid. So it was a real eye opener. And having not watched footy for a long time, sort of followed it, but not really. Like sort of watched it on TV, but not really followed it closely. Back when I was playing, it was just like who was the biggest and strongest, and if you're a forward, you never left the forward 50, which was great. But I just didn't know that how much the game had changed. So I just was like, I've got to put on a bunch of weight, and that made it even worse because I got even slower. Yeah. So I basically wasted my first preseason, taking the weight off and getting to the point where I should have been at the start. And then that first year, it took me ages to sort of get the hang of it because I was still catching up. But I've done 4 or 5 pre-seasons now, and I don't know how much easier it's getting, but at least the games are getting easier.
Well, in 4 or 5 years, you've come an unbelievably long way for someone that hasn't been playing football for such a long time. Tell me through your first proper senior game and then your first goal, because I was seeing people kick their first goal, and obviously it's an unbelievable feeling.
Yeah. So it was round 9, 2017. We played up at the Gibbo in Brisbane against the Lions. This is before the Lions were the team they are now. I took a mark. Eddie Betts told me in the locker room before the game that he was going to get me my first goal. And then it would have been like late in the first quarter. He kicks it to me and I mark it on the siren. So I've got to kick after the siren at the end of the first quarter, about 30 out directly in front. And somehow kicked it. It got mobbed by the boys because it was at quarter time. Like it was pretty surreal. Then I kicked 2 in a row to start the second, and then by the beginning of the third quarter, I was cramping, and that was me done for the day. I was in shock of it. I had a decent first half, and we won. But yeah, it was top 2 or 3 moments of my life, and certainly sporting career for sure. It was hectic.
You had a fair bit of time there. You obviously became good mates with Sam Jacobs, another guy that loves basketball. You obviously still keep in touch with him now. He's just retired. Obviously had a great career, but the people you meet playing sports pretty special as well.
Yeah, big sauce. He's crashing with us for the week actually. So we were at Movie World yesterday, and now he's off. He's taken his little girl off to Wet and Wild today. So he's ticking off all the theme parks as you do on the Gold Coast. But yeah, it's funny when you meet like how many footballers just love basketball. Like they love the NBA, they love the NBL. So Sauce was always front and center at all the 36ers games, as you know. So he loves it. I'm sure he'll stay involved in footy in some capacity, but I'm sure he'll get back around the NBL as well. But yeah, you just meet amazing people, as you know, through basketball. I've still got friendships from the institute and college and whatnot. And then footy as well. Basketball, you get 14, 15 blokes, whereas on a footy list, you're with 40, 50. So it's like you just build. There's so many different characters. There's so many different cliques. So many different people that you meet. But as professional athletes, you all go through the same stuff and similar life experiences. So you get to know them on a pretty personal level, and you build these bonds that last quite a while, which is pretty cool.
Obviously, you left Adelaide for whatever reason. There's been in the media about the camp and everything that went on in Adelaide and all that stuff. I'm not sure how much of that you want to touch on if you just want to move straight past that. Obviously, there was a lot of whatever in the media, the playing of the song and the blindfolds, and I can only imagine if you're a part of that, that would have been not a lot of fun to sit there on the bus and do all that. But then you obviously go to Gold Coast, which I think was an unbelievable move. You guys seem to have built such a great culture there, and that seems to be a bit of a focus. I've seen some videos on that stuff as well, but it seems like the group's really gelling well, and obviously had a great start to the season, not a so great ending, but seems like the group really gelled together, and you obviously played a massive part in that.
Yeah, it was tough. Like as you said, like I loved Adelaide and I loved Haggis. So again, it was a tough decision leaving that group. But I guess with all the other things that sort of happened, that it was the right call and the right time. My heart told me to stay in Adelaide, but my head told me to take off and pursue bigger and better opportunities. And this one, I feel like there was nothing better to be a part of a young group, as you said, and help drive a new environment, a new culture, a new group. So it's been fun, man. And I feel like I copped a bit of flack going there initially, going to a team that struggled for many years. Not many people tipped us to win games this year and finish. A lot of people tipped us to finish last again. So I think for the first half of the year, we were talk of the town for a while. Everyone wanted to come and see us play, see our young guys play, Rankin and Rowley and Anderson and all these guys. So it's fun, man. And I think for years to come, we're starting to build something pretty special. We've signed up like 20 guys over the last 2 years. So we've got guys committed to the club, which if you don't follow footy, we've struggled to do. A lot of guys have left over the years. So it's cool, man. It's been a good call. And obviously, as you said, we didn't finish the way that we wanted to, but I feel like we've exceeded some expectations and proved to the rest of the competition that we're not just a pushover every week anymore. We're going to challenge for points and win. So I'm excited to see what next year brings, because we've got a pretty young and exciting group.
Well, obviously that's a sign of the culture, right? You got, like you said, a lot of players want to get out of there as soon as possible. Big time names like Lynch and whatever, but guys committing, coming to the club. You mentioned the young guys like Rao, who, if he doesn't get injured, who knows kind of what happens.
Yeah.
Memberships, I think you guys reach a all-time kind of record for the club with memberships as well. So that is obviously a great sign of where the club is kind of heading. I don't know if Stewie Jew was had his little issues or whatever.
I saw that.
Get in trouble, but it just seems like the club is heading in the right direction, and your numbers and the way you're playing after this is your 5th year, like coming from basketball, it's pretty special.
Yeah, just the timing's perfect. Yeah, as you said, like everything sort of came together at the right time. And young group, broke our membership record this year, got guys signed up. Having footy come to Queensland has sort of promoted the game up here as well. So especially under the climate, like with the COVID stuff, it would have been easy for a lot of guys to pull memberships, not being able to go to games. But the members bought into our brand and our style and the way we play. And I know they're excited for the future as much as we are. And we're just thankful to be given an opportunity. Obviously, played a lot of reserves last year, and you always got that self-belief, of course. So I felt like I still could have contributed at AFL level with the Crows, but then when that wasn't happening, the Gold Coast were like, we can give you that opportunity. Well, we can give you an opportunity, but it's up to you to make the most of it and take hold of it. So it's been 2 parts. It's been getting an opportunity and then making the most of it. So been fortunate enough to work with a pretty strong midfield group, and as we mentioned numerous times, a young group that are keen to get better and learn and play hard and tough footy. So it's fun, man. Who's your team?
I'm a Hawk. Mate.
Yeah, we didn't finish well, did we? Is that a Tassie connection or just?
No, I just always have. I've got like a 1999 team poster on like this chunky bit of wood up on my wall. My room was yellow. Good. I had bedding. The bin was yellow. Mum's now gone through and like painted the whole thing, and I'm just devastated. I can't believe I've done that because no one's in there. But I've always been a Hawk. You
and Joey, far out. That's fair enough. You and Joey, you're big Hawks, man.
Now, you like to have a lot of fun. You don't take life too serious. If I mention 2 words, what comes to mind? Younger and quicker.
Mark Rashudo.
I love it. Like, I think obviously you were having some fun. Obviously, he didn't think you were young enough and quick enough for his team. Yeah. Great move for you to move on. You obviously had a great year, and that game against them must have been pretty cool. But to have fun on Twitter and do all that stuff, is this all part of the game as well? It
is, yeah. It's in Australia. There's that, obviously, the tall poppy. It's hard to you tread a fine line especially when you express sort of individuality or like, you know what I mean, on social media or in the media. When you try and express yourself as an individual, you're quick to get cut down. So just had a bit of banter with Roo. Some people loved it, some people didn't, but it was all in good taste. And we've since made up, so things are all right. Things are good.
I still love your banter. Another fellow Tasmanian, Adam Davey, who they run the AFL fantasy stuff. Roy, big fan, big basketball fan, big footy fan. Played against him, played with him back in the day. Unbelievable guy, but big supporters of ours. But you also love having. You also love having a joke on that. I think
he loves him some Gibbo.
I think he tweeted something about you wanted to try like a little bit of ruck, a little bit of forward so you fantasy guys can keep you on board to have a few more strings to your bow.
Yeah, I love fantasy sports. Like I love NFL, love NBA. So when I first came in, obviously a couple of years ago, I didn't follow it at the time, but you come in with like the minimum score, so everyone got me into their super coach team. So like everyone loved that. And then last year, I came in with this forward status, and like all my DMs, all my Twitters, all my stuff was just like, need you to get this amount of tackles, need you to get this score. Like, love having you in our team. Like my first year in Adelaide, I'd be like walking around the streets and they'd be like, mate, thanks for, you made this much money or you put this much money into your super coach score. Like, thanks, mate. Like, I love it. So, and he went out and got my badge and stuff for our membership drive. Like, he loved it. So, obviously having that Tassie connection. He was one that got on me from the early days. So I owe it to him. He's pumped me up for a while. So I owed it to him.
Those guys are awesome. I love it.
Yeah, good.
Now last thing we're going to talk about is the NBL. Obviously, big time ambassador you are of basketball, but Tassie in general, and how awesome it is to have the team going back to Tassie and what it'll mean for the young kids. I know coming through and probably the same as you, the pathway to play professional sports, it's pretty shitty for basketballers. Like being interstate now and around Melbourne, Gold Coast, Adelaide, young kids can come and train, be a part of an academy. There's that pathway to join a pro team. Now having a team back in Tassie is so important for young basketballers in Tasmania.
Oh, it's massive and it's huge, and there's been rumblings and murmurs for years. So to be sitting here and be talking about a legitimate NBL team coming to Tasmania next year is like something that is crazy. And as you know, like Tasmanians love their basketball. They love their sport. They love their basketball. And obviously growing up, like I'd go as a plan for the Chargers, like the Hobart Chargers, which isn't a knock on the Chargers, but like that's all we had in Hobart. And now kids from Lonnie, from Hobart, from Northwest can be like, right, I can go up and play NBL, because we know the standard of the NBL now and the players and the competition and the world stage that it's on, the national stage that it's on, like it's legit. And so for Tasmanians to have an NBL team to aspire to and to be able to train against NBL talent as well from a junior age is exciting, man. Like, and we've mentioned the Tasmanians that have come through, obviously small population, but the players that we've been able to produce over the years, like I feel like we deserve it. So I can't wait to be involved, hopefully in some capacity. I'll do all I can to continue to drive it and pump it up until the team finally comes in. So that's cool, man. I'm sure you'll be involved in many ways as well.
Is there potential for a comeback to Bart? Like, who knows what's going to happen footy-wise? Like, do you still train in any way involved with basketball? I'm sure you guys go and shoot around at times on your off days or whatever. You probably got a hoop at your facility, but you know, potential down the track, who knows, in a couple of years to switch back and play back in your home state.
I'd love to, but the standards, it's no joke. Like, I don't know if I can just go from not playing for a amount of years to go and playing at an NBL level. So I'd have to put a fair bit of time in. It's not like I've been sitting on the couch and sipping beers for the last 5 years. Like, I'm probably the fittest I've been. And, granted, it's a different fitness, but I'll start to get the ball in the hands a little bit more than I have been. And hopefully might sneak up to Brisbane in the off-season and see where I can join in with those guys. Trying to put that into motion just to stay involved, because my dream post-footy is to get back into basketball in some capacity, whether that was playing or coaching. So this hopefully will be a pathway for me, and things will go from there. But I'm certainly not ruling it out, Gibbo. I'm certainly not ruling it out.
I love that. Tassie will love that as well. So the NBL. You did some commentating when you're in Adelaide. Like, how was that? How did you find commentating and doing that sideline kind of reporter role?
It was fun, man. It was just a way to get involved. I went cold turkey when I went to footy. Obviously had a falling out with the game and with basketball. So I felt like it was time to get back involved, and the NBL was taking off and doing some really exciting things. So I'd be able to jump in at that time and be around it again. Sort of, it got me back in the game and sort of got that itch back for sure. So that was cool, man. And being in Adelaide, the 36s were pretty good at the time. So it was good, a good environment at Titanium. Obviously they've moved now, but it was good to catch up with guys I hadn't seen for years and years. Was cool too. So we'll see if we get involved in it again up in Brisbane. But I just feel like again I timed it right. The NBL was taking off, and the boys, all guys my age, were sort of coming through and starting to really dominate at that level. So it was fun to watch.
Now, you can't have a Tassie team without a Tassie name. Now we've got three left.
I know.
I want your choice. Now, It's either Tassie Pride, the Jack Jumpers, or the Tridents.
Yeah, I'm not a Jack Jumpers, I don't think.
I don't think Jack Jumpers either. So I think it's either the Pride or the Tritons. Now, the mascot for the Tritons could be cool. Like, kind of look like yourself with some long hair.
Yeah, just
decent
physique. Maybe that'll be my role. Or maybe I'll just go down there and be the mascot. I might not get a gig, but I'll be a mascot. I don't mind. I've seen the Tridents with each stake or whatever that would be called, each thing representing the region of Tasmania. I thought that was pretty clever. Obviously, Tasmanians, when you speak of Tasmanians, are obviously a proud bunch, so like the pride's cool. But I think if I had to vote, I'd probably go Tridents. When I put my nomination in, I went Islanders because that was the Islanders' mum when she won the national championship for the Hobart Islanders back in the 90s. That was their team. So my vote was Islanders. Didn't make it that far, but if I had to pick one now, to be the Tridents, I reckon. What about you? Are you on the fence?
Yeah, no, I'm kind of going the same way. I think that makes sense. The 3-prong thing for each part of the state.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Hopefully that'll bring all the state together and they can gel and whatever. Yeah. Last 2 questions. I normally ask, you have to pick one of these. Now, I don't have a long list for you. I'm going to start off easy, but the last one's going to be a hoot. So I know you play some online gaming. So you pick Halo or Call of Duty.
Halo for sure. That was AIS. That was all we did for years.
Cricky told me that. Now I know you've met MJ, so I'm hoping you say him, but MJ or LeBron?
I've met Alex Caruso too, so I don't know, Caruso or MJ. I'm MJ at this stage, but LeBron's bless you, bud. Sorry, this little man. Hey, sneezing over there. MJ.
Now, last one. If you're stuck on an island, you can only take one of these people with you. It's either Trev Gleeson or Mark Rashuda.
I thought you were going to say Jason McD or Mitch Creek, but ruin Trev. Oh, man. Trev's one that I'm trying to patch up to. That's a great one. Oh, maybe. I don't know. I don't think I can win either way. Nah, they're all right. Probably Roo. I think. Keeping
the industry. Trev's a great man.
Yeah. Trev's a ripper.
Mate, I really appreciate you taking time out. Unbelievable first season with the Suns. Great 5 years so far in footy. I hope you have another 10. Awesome you're involved, and I'm sure the NBL will get you involved with the new Tassie team. Hopefully it's the Tritons, but we'll wait and see who that are.
Yeah, we'll see.
Mate, appreciate it. Like I said, great season. All the best with what's next, mate, to you and your family. And we'll see you once the NBL starts back up. Hopefully, commentating sideline in Brisbane. Yeah, thanks, mate. And as a Tasmanian, it's been fun to follow you, and hopefully you can stick around for a little while longer. And putting up with Creaky, you might take a couple of years off, but we'll see how we go. But it's been fun following you for years, man. So. We'll be watching closely again. So hopefully you'll be sticking around when we both end up in the Tassie team in a couple of years. There we go. I love it. You're the man, Hugh. You're the best. See you, mate. Thanks, Gibbo. Cheers, mate.